Send peace and blessings upon all of his prophets, and especially the last of all of his prophets. Why am I a Muslim? I'm a Muslim, I think, for two main reasons. First, I've examined the world of ideas, and I couldn't adopt anything else except the religion of Islam. Second, having considered Islam itself, I couldn't resist being a Muslim. Now for the first reason, what about the world of ideas? I looked at atheism and agnosticism. Can these ideas commend my belief? First, atheism. I couldn't be an atheist because I believe that there is a God. And I believe that belief that there is a God is confirmed by the fact that we are here. We know that from nothing, nothing comes. And why are we here? How come we do have something instead of nothing? That would argue for the existence of a God who created everything else. Scientists for the longest time have tried to resist the idea that the universe had a beginning. Einstein introduced into his equations what he called the cosmological constant in order to keep the universe from expanding. But the universe kept on expanding, and the expanding universe pointed backwards towards a Big Bang origin. And once scientists were convinced that the universe had an origin, that speaks to the presence of an originator. And I think that this lends confirmation that there is a God. Moreover, scientists, looking back at the Big Bang, have calculated that right at the very inception, the fundamental physical constants that govern physics were fine-tuned to be precisely what they were. Otherwise, any slight variation from the initial fine-tuning would result not in the universe that we have. In fact, we wouldn't be here unless, for example, the density of matter was worked out from the very beginning. At 10 to the minus 43 seconds, for example, the universe, or the density of matter in the universe, had to be fine-tuned to allow for no variation, even to the extent of 1 part in 10 to the minus 49. We're talking about a very infinitesimal small quantity here. If the density of mass in the universe had not been fine-tuned to what it was, we wouldn't be here. So why do we have something instead of nothing? And why is that something fine-tuned to exist, except that it did have an originator and a fine-tuner, a mathematical mind who brought everything into being right from the very start. So I couldn't be an atheist. Could I be an agnostic, thinking that I cannot know what is right and what is wrong? In fact, I couldn't be an agnostic anymore, because here we have evidence showing that there is no God. Therefore, theism, or belief in God, is the right way to go. And then if we believe that there is a God, there are, in the world of religious ideas, many ideas. So which one can we adopt? Could I have adopted the religions of China? Having considered the religions of China, Confucianism and Taoism, I couldn't be either of those. In fact, both are philosophies much more than they are religion. And as far back as we can trace, the ideas within these systems come not from God, but from the thinking of men. Confucianism, for example, goes back to a founder, Kung Fu Tzu, who emphasized ethics, how to be good citizens and how to be good to each other. As much as ethics is good, I will find that this is part of Islam. So whereas Confucianism gives us good ethics, it does not give us a complete framework and a complete and adequate worldview. I couldn't be a Confucianist. Could I have been a Taoist? I couldn't be a Taoist, because as far back as we can trace Taoism, the originator or the founder of Taoism is, according to the Collins Gem book on world religions, a shadowy figure. He's not a historical personage. And unless we can trace back a religion to its historical roots and find that this actually comes from God, then what we would have is a man-made system. I couldn't believe in a man-made system. If we're going to go with a man-made system, I may as well make up my own religion. So I couldn't be a Taoist. So the religions of China wouldn't suit my expectations. What about the religion that is indigenous to Japan, a religion known as Shinto? The Shinto religion also cannot be traced back to any single founder, nor does it give us a complete and adequate worldview. As far as I understand, the Shinto religion has more to do with Japan than with human nature. It is a religion which emphasizes the worth and value of being a Japanese citizen. According to Shintoism, the governor of Japan used to be a descendant of the sun goddess Amaterasu. However, in 1945, Emperor Hirohito deliberately and clearly expressed his thoughts that he was not a descendant of the sun goddess. So the Shinto religion could not suit my expectations. Now, if we come a little bit westward from the Orient and we look at the religions of India, I find that these two cannot fit my expectations. I expect that if a religion is to be true, it must come from God rather than from men. In fact, the word religion means reconnection, and I take that to mean reconnection with our source. Many people over time have looked for ways in which we can reconnect with our origin. And if that is the case, if we are seeking a reconnection, what if the divine himself is seeking a reconnection with us? Which would be the correct way to connect? Our way or his way? You know the old song, I did it my way. But despite that, I think it's better to do it his way. And hence, if we look into the religions of India, we see that there are many religions and many ideas which together as a conglomerate are referred to as Hinduism. Again, we cannot trace back to the historical founders of these religions, but what we're given is a considerable amount of mythology about gods and goddesses interacting with each other, having children, and these children becoming princes and so on. That, to me, cannot fit my expectation of what would be a true religion from God. Indeed, Hinduism is said to be one of the oldest of the world's major religions. And some of its scriptures, in particular the Rig Veda, is said to be the oldest scripture among the world's religions today. But age has not proved to be a benefit in this circumstance, because with age has come an obscurity that we can no longer reconcile. So if we're looking for history instead of obscurity, Hinduism cannot fit our expectations. Buddhism emerged out of India. The founder of Buddhism, a man by the name of Siddhartha Gautama, was himself a Hindu, but he became dissatisfied with some of the principles and teachings of Hinduism, and he founded his own religion, a religion known as Buddhism, after the name and title that would be given to this man, meaning the Enlightened One. Buddhism proposes that there are four noble truths and an eighth-fold path in order to acquire the benefits of the four noble truths, more specifically to achieve nirvana, or an annihilation of the self, of one's desires, and become unified with the great universal soul, the Brahman. However, we see that these very ideas and the concept of unifying with the universal soul is a Hindu concept that is still adopted within Buddhism. And so if Hinduism cannot commend our belief, we should rightly ask, where is there the evidence that such a universal soul exists and that we can in fact achieve this nirvana? What we have here is a kind of subjective experience which people tell us about. They tell us that some other person has achieved this nirvana. But how can we know that this is possible for us? Is there any objective means by which we can test these beliefs? As far back as we can see, the religion known as Buddhism depends not on the revelation that came from God to Siddhartha Gautama, but to a search that the Buddha himself conducted and the results of that personal search? Well, as we said before, if it's going to be man-made, we can make up our own. But if we look for the religion which has been revealed by God, we have to move a little bit further west, and we go to the Middle East, and we see that there we have emerging three religions: Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. Now, could I be a Jew then? Well, first, I couldn't be a Jew, because to be a Jew, one has to be born in the system. Judaism can refer to the religion, or it can also refer to the social and cultural identity. As far as it refers to the social and cultural identity, by definition, I couldn't be a Jew. But whereas it refers to the religion, if that is the religion of Moses, then I do declare that